Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Francisco Canto, and I'm excited to be here joined by my sister Laura as we are every Monday night. Today is a special night. We're live on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. And again, if this is your first time joining, just to give you an overview of what we do in these live streams, we have a very casual but informative chat. We pick a topic of whatever is going on in the world of college admissions or something a little bit more broad, and we expand on it to hopefully inform you as a parent or a student about what you should be doing and what the proper steps are to make sure that you don't leave any money on the table when it comes to college and that you maximize your odds of being accepted. So, the topic of today's chat, we are going to be talking about the biggest mistakes that parents make on the road to college for their children. And this is not some sort of judgment or some sort of testament to single out parents making mistakes, but rather after 5 years and thousands of students that we've had helped get accepted to college, different institutions from top tier universities, Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Duke, to other institutions that the students were trying to get to college after not having considered it throughout 4 years. We have helped students in that situation as well. So whatever it is that the student has wanted to accomplish, whether it be a top tier institution or an institution that gives them complete financial aid coverage and scholarships, we have helped thousands of our students in Bass College Aid. So we are using what we've learned from those experiences and what we have seen as the most recurring or biggest mistakes that parents make. And we're going to be talking about them so that hopefully, if you're watching this as a parent or a student, you can learn what to do, what not to do, and you can start implementing these steps into your own college application process. So, Laura, do you want to introduce yourself and talk a little bit more about today's presentation?
Yes. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I'm back and with Francisco. Today, we are discussing, as we were just talking about, Francisco just mentioned, we're talking about the biggest mistakes parents make when their children are in high school and when planning for college. So, it's very important to learn these tips and to be super attentive and to really pay attention, because by learning these mistakes, you will be able to avoid them and help your children succeed on the road to college. We will be also talking about what to do in the month of January, February, these next few weeks. Year by year. So if you have children in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, what to do in order to prepare for college admissions. So this is going to be information that is going to be helpful for students in all grades in different parts of, high school, even middle schoolers. So definitely stay tuned. Definitely ask questions. Remember, at the end of the presentation, this live show, we answer your questions live. So definitely stay tuned for that. Ask your questions. Say hello in the chat. Let us know where you're joining from.
Right. And just so that we know who our audience is today and where we need to spend a little bit more time, you can also let us know if you are the parent or you're a student in which grade. If you tell us the grade, then we'll know, okay, most of our audience is watching, from or looking for tips for a senior in high school, a junior, sophomore, freshman. So let us know in the comments. And also, it helps promote the live stream. More people watch it, more people get information that's relevant and helpful for them. And it also helps us grow the channel. So it should be a win-win for everyone. So just let us know in the comments the grade of the student in the household, whether that's yourself or your child. And as you do that, we are going to go ahead and get started with the topic of today's presentation. Laura and I have discussed this both on a work setting and out of a work setting. And again, this is not meant to be construed as some sort of judgment to parents, but rather as a constructive testament to what you should avoid and what you should focus more on. So the first thing that I wanted to talk to you all about, or that we want to discuss, Laura, open up the floor, is the financial aid forms that need to be filled out to make sure that you are eligible to receive all sorts of aid for college. Okay, one of the biggest mistakes that parents make is thinking that this is the responsibility of just the student. And what I always say, or what I always start with this topic, is different families, different households have different perspectives and different philosophies on who should pay for college. And what Laura and I are not going to do in this presentation is sit here and tell you this is the right way or this is the wrong way. Parents should pay for the student's education, or students should pay for their own education. Different people have different upbringings, different philosophies, and whatever works for their household is their own prerogative, and they can do whatever they please. I'm not going to step here and tell you, oh, all parents should pay for the kids' education or all students should pay for their own education. That's for you to decide. But what I will say is that it would be very unreasonable, and it would be just plain wrong for a parent to say that a student's financing of college is 1000% on them. And the reason why I say this is that a lot of the decisions for need-based awards will be determined on information and documentation that is derived from the family's finances. So if a student gets a need-based award, need-based scholarships, whether it's from the federal government or the institution, this will be mostly derived from how much the parent makes, from their tax returns, their debts, their savings account, all those things that get factored into the calculation to assess the family's financial need. So for the students or for the parents to just say, oh, okay, my finances and my situation is completely removed from the student's obligation to pay for college would just be wrong. All right. So that's the first thing that I wanted to start with, because again, that information or that documentation will affect directly the student's financial situation. So where do we draw the line as to what is the responsibility of the parent or the responsibility of the student? Well, at the end of the day, it's a co-responsibility. Yes, because it is the student's own education. They should have a sense of agency to go ahead and fill out what needs to be filled out, and they should be proactive about it. The parent shouldn't be doing everything. But as I mentioned earlier, there are some documents that the student might have never seen before, like the tax returns, or, when making the FSA ID, they will need information, the parent's social security number. The students, yes, they need to know whether or not they have to fill out the CSS profile, which is a form that some institutions need for institutional awards, and when to fill out the FAFSA, free application for federal student aid. But the actual process of filling it out, given that the parent and the student both need to make something called the FSA ID, lends itself to the realization that both the parents and the students need to work together to make sure that everything gets filled out on time and correctly. And then from that, the student is going to become eligible for the different types of aid and scholarships. Because again, as we've talked in other live streams, there are 4 entities that can give a student money for college: the federal government, the state where the student lives if they're going to go to college within that same state, the institutions where they're ultimately going to end up going to college, and there are private scholarships. So at the end of the day, and the basis of the financial aspect of everything we teach inside Best College Aid is that we want to make sure that the student becomes as eligible as possible for as many different types of money for college, whether that is need-based or merit-based. And this cannot possibly or conceivably be done if they do not have the support of the parent with the most basic gathering of the documentation and filling out, that boring bureaucratic process of actually completing the forms. If the parents help out the student in the capacity that they can, providing the necessary documentation, then the student will be right on track to become eligible for federal, state, institutional, and private aid, right? So that's what I wanted to start off by. Don't make the mistake of assuming that it is just the parents or just the student's responsibility, and help that work together to fill everything that has to be filled out in terms of financial forms, all right?
Yes, like Francisco said, obviously certain things are the responsibility solely on the student. Your parents are not going to go in and take the SAT or ACT or write the college essay, but there are things that can be done, and things that parents can maybe take the lead and do themselves if you want, obviously, to teach your child about responsibility and have them learn. We obviously recommend maybe do it together so the student learns, but don't just think the student should do it. Here's the tax returns, here's this, here's that, because you also have to think college, high school seniors are not only dealing with filling out the FAFSA or the CSS profile, they have to be writing college admissions essays. They have to be writing, their supplemental essays. They have to be filling out applications. They have to be staying on track with their grades. It's not just, completing applications. They have to get good grades. Maybe if they're athletes, they have to be going to competitions, going to states, swimming, musical theater, whatever it is. So definitely help your children. And it's a good way to be involved. It's a good way to get some work off their back, because senior year can be quite stressful. And also it's just, good because it's information that if the student is a dependent, it's going to be those tax returns, those W-2s, those, tax files and all the documents that are pertain to the parents of the student. Alrighty, so that was mistake number one that a lot of parents of high school students make. Let's move on to the second mistake, and this is believing and or thinking, having maybe the hope that your child's high school college counselor will have everything under control and is going to be able to help them. Now, I'm not saying that all high school college counselors are not, they're not trying to help your child or they're not going to do anything, but the reality is that the average high school college counselor there's one high school counselor per 450 students. So each high school college counselor in most high school has about 450 students, depending on the high school, to help every year and to help navigate the college admissions journey. So it is very unlikely, and unfortunately, these counselors don't have the resources because a lot of the time the state, the federal government doesn't provide them with resources to help all the students, or there's just one counselor per a big number of students, and they are not able to help your student plan for college. So a lot of parents, we've seen it years and years, are like, yeah, my child is being helped by his high school counselor. That's what they're there for. And senior year comes around and they realize that the student never met with the high school counselor, or they never made an appointment, or they weren't really able to fully help them. So don't assume that your student's high school college counselor will be able to help them. They have the best disposition, a lot of them, but unfortunately, a lot of them don't have the resources to help all students. So this is another mistake that high school parents of high school students make on the road to college.
So to tangibly turn that into a recommendation, or what we see has helped our students, our members in Best College Aid throughout, again, the 5 years and the thousands of students that we've had, is there should be a healthy level of skepticism and a healthy level of, I don't want to use the word distrust, but certainly inquisitive nature to a parent in terms of what they're doing in the high school. So if the parent, and I know that it might be a little difficult because it's the age where the student is very much, don't bother me, mom, dad, I know what I'm doing. But there should be, from the side of the parent, you will never regret asking too many questions for the sake of orienting them into the proper path towards an education. Yeah, they might get annoyed a little bit and tell you, yes, I'm doing this, or no, I'm not doing that. But at least you will learn what the student is doing in regards to their college education if you ask about it. And then you can make an assessment as to whether or not you think that the high school counselor is providing enough guidance and help, and how to move appropriately, whether you look for outside help, whether you see that they're on the right path. But if you just blindly trust, the big mistake here is called blindly trusting what they're doing at the high school, because yes, in the chance that everything's going well and that they're getting a lot of help and support, then that's great. They're going to continue to do that, even if you ask or if you don't ask. But in the chance that they're not getting, as Laura mentioned, the proper support, help, even if these counselors have the best disposition, you will never learn this unless you ask about it and unless you inquire about it. So then if you learn that that's the case and that the student is not getting the necessary guidance and that they're not meeting with their counselor, then you will never know how to act accordingly. But if you ask, you'll know, okay, well, based on this situation, here's where I'm standing, and here are my different options: a private college counselor, Best College Aid, continue to watch his live streams, tune in, ask questions, whatever it is that you have to do, you can make an informed decision. But if you don't even know that you have a problem, then you can't solve it. So that is the recommendation. Have a healthy level of skepticism and ask your student how they're doing and how they're meeting and what's the situation with their current counselor. And that is what we wanted to cover as mistake number 2, so that to make sure you don't make it. Number three is, I want to share with you all that a lot of parents, a big mistake that they make is not understanding the process of going to college in a responsible way in 2024. And I say in 2024 because there might be parents who went to college 20, 30, 40 years ago and who assume that the situation is still the same as it was back then. In reality, there are 2 ongoing processes that are occurring at the same time nowadays to get to college. There's the admissions process with all of its complexities of the factors that go into getting accepted to college, within the academic realm, yes, there's the GPA, but the rigor of the classes that the student took, or what you should know about the essays, or what you should know about SAT and ACT scores and the strategies to make it the most competitive, and whether you should include it, not include it, test optional, COVID happened, all those things. Then there's the interviews, then there's the supplemental essays, the recommendation letters. So that is for the admissions aspect of the college process. And then simultaneously, there is the financing process that has to do with filling out all the necessary documentation, whether that is the free application for federal student aid, whether that is the CSS profile, whether those are the particular merit-based awards that the student has to receive to get state scholarships, or how to qualify for, the student's going to be recruited as an athlete, or if they're going to apply to private scholarships. There's a lot of moving parts that if you as a student or as a parent are not aware of, you will not complete. You will not know, oh, when do I have to fill out the FAFSA by? Oh, when do I have to apply early action or early decision, or understanding the differences? What percentage is this going to increase, or by how much, or much more likely am I going to be accepted or rejected from the school if I apply under this type of application versus that type of application, right? So what we always say is that 90% of the mistakes that both students and parents make occur not because of incompetence, but rather because they don't know what they don't know. And if you're not aware and you procrastinate and you reserve all of your errors for, or all the problems to be fixed by senior year, kind of what we were talking about in terms of the guidance counselor at the high school, if you don't know that the student is not getting help, support, whatever, and you wait until senior year, that same procrastination is going to back into a corner where your options are limited, and you might not have time to take the SAT or ACT at the end. You might have deadlines that already passed. You might have scholarship applications that already went by, or that you did not meet the or satisfy the requirements to receive that money. So it is a lack of preparation, and a lack of preparation or a lack of understanding the system that very much leads to committing those mistakes. So it's not incompetence, it's just not knowing what you don't know. So that's why Laura and I come live every week and then have these conversations, so that you're at least aware of the moving parts, and then act accordingly and use different resources to educate yourself and to better prepare for those moving parts and how to be best equipped to face them. All right. So do you want to talk a little bit more about free resources that they can use to learn more, whether it's through Best College Aid, the recordings, everything, the presentation?
Yes. So we do have some free resources, because I know that Francisco just covered a lot, and we talked about mistakes and errors that a lot of people make. But now let's talk about resources that are going to help you avoid those mistakes and just understand the college admissions journey better and more in depth. We do have a completely free resource for you guys, and this is something that we created additional to all of these live streams that we do, these live shows, the social media content that we post day after day, because we do post mostly daily on Instagram and TikTok, Facebook. And we have a free presentation, free webinar on the top secrets to go to college with scholarships. Inside of this presentation, we talk about the different types of financial aid, how to get a great SAT and ACT score, how to understand the college admissions process in more depth. And it's just a very, very well made presentation. Francisco did a really good job explaining everything, and just putting all the questions that we tend to get online and the questions that we get from thousands of people in social media, from our own students, and just put it together in a beautiful presentation that is just so well made, and it's full of valuable information. So if you want to learn these free tips, you can check out the free tip presentation in the link in our bio if you're watching us on TikTok and Instagram. If you are watching us on YouTube or Facebook, the link to this presentation is in this video's description. Or if you, David will be putting that link in the comment section so that you can register and just have this free resource. Take advantage of it and learn more strategies, learn more tips that can help you navigate the college and admissions process successfully. And if you are interested in joining Best College Aid and having more guidance and something that is more personalized, throughout the 4 years of high school and understanding the college admissions process, we do have, at the end of the presentation, we do explain everything that is included inside of our Best College Aid membership. So if you're interested in that, you can register to watch the presentation, watch all the way to the end, and check out all of the amazing benefits included inside of Best College Aid. And we do offer a discount just for watching the training and taking the time out of your day to just learn a little bit more. Right. So make sure to check it out so that you can, take advantage of those resources for you guys.
Right. So yeah, we'd like to be very upfront about that. I mean, a lot of what we do is presentations like this, and we're going to move on to giving tips to what freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors should be doing in January of 2024. That's going to be the next point of today's talk. But we like to be very transparent about the fact that there is that free presentation, is an hour and 20 minutes. And it's the last 15, 20 minutes where we talk about Best College Aid program, where we, for those of you who are interested, can join. But the rest of the presentation is just free value that we give out similar to these talks. So I'd like to be very upfront about that for those of you who are interested. But now, with that being said, and if you're interested, you can check out in the link in my bio and the description below this video on Facebook and YouTube. Now we're going to move on to talking about tips. And they're not all of the things that a student should be doing, but some of the most pressing things that students should be doing during their 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade years. All right, so I'm going to start with freshman year. And basically, when it comes to our freshmen in Best College Aid, what we teach them or what we recommend for the month of January is that there are two components or two things that they need to focus on. And when I say focus on, I mean, okay, what am I going to start building a college application for? So if a student knows what they want to study in college, that is the single greatest thing that they can do, because then they can build an application that is equipped to be a competitive applicant in that field. However, they don't know, it's super important to use 9th grade as an exploration period for them to try as many different things as possible. And then it's equally as valuable to identify what they like as it is to identify what they don't like, because then they can use the remaining time, their sophomore, junior, senior years, to build and develop the concepts of duration and leadership and all that stuff. And they're going to be way happier if it's on something that they care about than something that they don't care about. So the tangible recommendation for my 9th graders, on top of joining all these different clubs that, yeah, you're not going to stick with 10, 15, 20 different clubs, but if you identify the 3 or 4 or 5 that you like, boom, you can start pursuing them, eventually get leadership positions, and you're going to be happier that way. And you're going to drop the ones that you don't like now, rather than joining them junior, senior year and then doing nothing about it and have them be just little sprinkles in your college application, but not necessarily something that adds much value. Okay, so do that for the extracurricular aspect. And then for the academic aspect, it's, again, same concept. Try to take all these different classes that are going to set you up for advanced level courses. All right. So if you know that you're a student who's eventually going to go to, you want to be a veterinarian when you go to college, or you are going to study engineering, physics, history, whatever it is that you want to study, and you know that your school offers AP Calculus or AP US History or AP Bio or whatever it is that they offer, and you know that, okay, in my particular schools, you need to have taken algebra, geometry, pre-calc before you take AP Calculus. Then 9th grade, you reverse engineer it. You start, or if you want to take those classes by senior year, you start reverse engineering and you learn what classes you have to be taking in 9th grade, especially in January, because in the next few months, you're going to be picking your class for sophomore, junior, senior year. You work backwards to know, here's where I want to end up. I want to end up having taken 7 APs, 8 APs, 10 APs, whatever it is. You got to know what you have to take now to become eligible to take those later on. All right. So that is my recommendation for my 9th graders.
Yes, so that was 9th graders. Now moving on to 10th graders, and the same information, kind of like the same tips can apply for 10th graders, because it's still like the first couple of years of high school, is still year 2. And definitely if your student still hasn't found an extracurricular activity that they're passionate about, something that they see themselves doing past high school and like doing in college, still explore, try to find something. I didn't start doing my specific extracurricular activity and what helped me get a scholarship for college until my sophomore year, at the end of sophomore year of high school. And this was musical theater. and I still managed to get a scholarship. So if you are hearing this as a 10th grader or a parent of a 10th grader, there's still time, and just really understand the power and the importance of extracurricular activities, and not only just joining a bunch of clubs, a bunch of, you know, extracurriculars and organizations just for the sake of it. Really be involved and really develop a rapport, and something that when it comes time to fill out a college application, to maybe have a college interview, to write an essay, students can show, hey, I not only was I part of the National Honor Society, or not only was I part of the theater club, but I was also on the board, and I helped raise money for this particular event. I became the president my senior year, and I joined since sophomore year. Show development inside within extracurricular activities, and start planning those things early on. So, besides obviously planning for classes, choosing which courses to take, continue to build that resume, and build that extracurricular kind of like story that you're going to be telling once it comes to senior year, so the student can show, not only did I commit to a club, an organization, a sports team, but I also was very active inside that community, and I made an impact, because that's ultimately what colleges want to see. So definitely try doing that, try planning for that, my 10th graders, and my juniors. Francisco,
Yes.
what are the tips for students in junior year?
All right, so let's say you're building something beautiful in terms of your application. You are going to need to know where you're going to send that application to, right? And again, there are other components and other things that you could be doing junior year: SAT, ACT, courses to take, summer projects, all that thing. But what I want to focus on right now is you should start thinking about making that final list of colleges that you'll be applying to. And you can start with a preliminary list of 30 schools, and then eventually you'll hone it down to a final list of 8 to 12 schools made up of reach, target, and safety schools. But the whole point here is that out of everything that we teach inside Best College Aid, which again, it's as early as middle school all the way through life in college, I would say that one of the most, if not the most important thing that you can do is make an appropriate, a prudent, a responsible list of colleges that takes into consideration, number one, what is it that the student wants to study? Because, newsflash, not all colleges and universities offer the same career paths, majors, opportunities. And number two, that the university offers the financial help, aid, and levels of generosity that your family might require, that you might require to be able to finance your education. Because it's not just about being accepted at a school that offers what you want to study. It's also about not going to a lifetime of debt and being able to afford that education, right? So realistically, in Best College Aid, we think those are the two most important components of your list of colleges and your search criteria. And then after that, we have a secondary tier of categories that will impact that list of colleges. Do you want to be in a big city? Do you want to study abroad? Does the student have special education needs that they need to, satisfy through the schools and their infrastructure? All those things can be used as part of the search criteria. But the two most important, again, is academics and financing, because you want to be able to pay for your education and educate yourself in what you want to learn. So if you start building this preliminary list during your second semester of your junior year, you'll have a roadmap laid out for you, and our students know that, okay, with this list, I know the target SAT or ACT scores that I need. I know what I need to do as far as my GPA to be a competitive applicant. I can pivot in terms of, the courses or what I'm going to do over the summer. I can see how realistic a university is or how unrealistic a university is as far as including into my final list of colleges. All those things will fall in a row and will become way more. There will be a clear target if you have a list of colleges, rather than just kind of, oh, well, it's December of my senior year and it's time to apply for school. Here's what I've done. Let's see what I can afford with what I've done. Whereas if you plan ahead, it becomes way more intentional, and you can come up with a road plan as to, okay, I'm going to have my essays done by this day. I'm going to have my early applications done by this day. I'm going to target this score for the SAT or ACT. And if I don't get it, I'm going to include it, not include it. I'm going to pivot and change schools. So all those things become way more intentional and way more strategic if you have that list of colleges done junior year.
Exactly. So that was our tip for our juniors. Now let's move on to seniors. Obviously, beside trying to get that FAFSA filled out, and I know We had a lot of comments. We've had a lot of, people reach out to us, and just like we've seen it online with people just struggling to fill out the FAFSA. But once that step is completed, once you are finally able, and maybe let us know in the chat if you've been able to complete it. Remember that that's not the only thing that seniors should be doing, or the most important thing. Obviously is really important and it has to be done, but there are other things that should be happening or should be done. Maybe if you're not able to fill it out yet, you could pivot and do other things, which I will share right now, while you are able to complete the form. And this is obviously staying on top of your grades, finishing the year strong. For my students who are not done applying to college and who are applying to college regular decision, sending in those applications, because those regular decision deadlines are slowly creeping in. A lot of schools have their regular decision deadlines in February. So that's literally like in a few, like 10 days, less than 9 days, we're having, it's February is going to be here. So definitely make sure that those applications are completed, that are sent in, that everything's ready to go for those regular decision applications, and try to stay on top of your grades, because a lot of students get senioritis. They, maybe your student already heard from a specific college and university, and they are getting comfortable. They're like, I already know where I'm going next year. And those grades start to drop. And a lot of colleges do have consequences for students whose grades drop senior year. Some students get in academic probations. Some applications get revoked. Some acceptances. So definitely be careful. Definitely make sure that your students are staying on top of their grades. If they practice extracurricular activities, make sure that they are staying on top of their extracurricular activities and trying to get good grades, and finishing strong. If they practice a sport, if they have a play, anything, just make sure that you're not just focusing on the application process, because there's other things happening senior year, important things that do matter. Alrighty, so make sure that you are on top of that. Those were my tips for my seniors, and those were the tips for back to school for all grades, all ages, from 9 to 12th grade. Francisco, I don't know if you have anything else you want to share before we start answering some questions.
No, I mean, the main thing that I want to share is, again, additional free resources that you should be taking advantage of. Number one, if you came in late to this live stream, again, whether it was through our TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, if you want to watch from the very beginning, let's say you came in when we were talking about the tips for juniors and you have a freshman student, or you missed the part where we talked about the mistakes for parents, you can watch the recording of this live stream on Instagram. It's going to be on our Instagram profile. On YouTube, it's going to be on our YouTube channel. On Facebook, it's going to be on our Facebook page. The only place where it's not going to be recorded is on TikTok. So if you want to watch it and you're on TikTok, you just go to another platform. Also, if you want to give us a follow, that would be greatly appreciated, because we're trying to grow our channel. The more we grow, the more we can help families in a similar situation as yours. And other than that, another free resource, again, as I mentioned earlier, the free presentation, link in our bio. David also did us the favor of putting it in the chat on Facebook and YouTube. So you just copy paste that link, and again, free presentation. But no, I would like to take this chance to go ahead and answer some questions in the chat if there are any. I noticed that on YouTube, a student asked about the necessary grades to go to Harvard, and what we tell students who already know what they want to, SAT score to get accepted to Harvard, and any student who already knows where they're going to go to college. Obviously, you're not just going to apply to one school. You're going to make a comprehensive list of reach, target, and safety schools that is going to be well spread out within your current academic standing, whether that is your GPA, your SAT, or ACT scores. And you're going to, again, base your statistics, have those be the basis of what's going to constitute a reach, target, or safety school. But if you already know what your main dream target school is, it's as simple as looking for the common data set, admission statistics for that particular university, and then striving towards becoming a competitive applicant based on what the common data sets considers as relevant, because they have a section, section C explains, we are very interested in the students' rigor of courses taken. We're interested It's very important for them to have a high GPA. We don't really care about the interview, or we really do care about SAT or ACT scores. Again, every school is going to have their own common data set. So you would just look it up for the particular school you're interested in, whether that's Harvard in this particular case, or whether that is another institution. And that will be basically your Bible as to what you need to strive for to be a competitive applicant. That's what I would tell any student that has a specific institution in mind that they want to apply to.
Alrighty, so I saw a comment on Instagram asking about a parent of a student who's planning to do community college for the first couple of years and then transferring. What my opinion is on that, and that is something that process, that strategy is something that a lot of students go ahead and do after graduating. Instead of going right into the 4 years of high school, they do 2 years of community college, and then they transfer to a 4-year university and finish those 4 years of college at that university or college or university. Remember, there's a difference between community college and a college, a university that is a college like Marist College, Harvard College, etc. But I believe that that is something that a lot of times it's a great idea, a good way to save money. However, a lot of times students do try to do this. Students do try to, have all intentions to graduate from high school, do 2 years of community college, and then they either get comfortable, maybe they don't perform as well in community college, they don't get as good good grades, and they either don't get accepted once they try to transfer to a 4-year college, or university, or they just get complacent and they just stay in community college, which is totally fine. But we do recommend that students try to navigate the 4 years of high school with the intention of going to a 4-year college or university, because there are a lot of schools that are very generous, and there might not be a need to go to community college first and then transfer if saving money is or just it being cheaper is your goal. There are ways to go to a 4-year college or university and either go with a full tuition scholarship, a full ride scholarship, or just go with enough financial aid and scholarships to not go into debt. So that is what we teach and what we focus on, that free training that we talked about earlier. And we do cover strategies that can help you out. I'm not against going to community college first, but a lot of times it's not necessary if the right steps, if the right strategies, if the right process is followed. Students can go to a 4-year university and do the 4 years of college, get that 4-year college experience. I keep saying high school, 4-year college experience, and graduate from a university having gone the 4 years and completed all 4 years there. All right. Yeah. So that's my answer to that.
Right. So as a summary, if you can get to a 4-year institution by applying directly, go ahead and do anything you can to do that, because you'll save yourself time, money, effort, and honestly, the social capital of having to move from one institution to another. But in some rare instances, it might be worth it to go to community college first. Greatly said, Laura. I believe that we have gotten to the bottom of the questions that we received for today's presentation. David just went ahead and shared once again, or is the latest comment in Facebook, the link for the free presentation. So you can check that out if you are interested in getting access to that free resource. And if you're interested in joining Best College Aid, go ahead and watch that presentation for a 50% discount when joining, or if you just want a free presentation and a free resource to help yourself or help your student out on the road to college. Thank you so much for another week of allowing us to be here with you all. This is the highlight of our weeks when we go ahead and do these live streams in Spanish and English, and we get to chat with each other. It supplements our runs because Laura and I run together. So this extra bonding time is also work together and share office space and everything. So the more time that I get to spend with Laura, the better.
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, well, thank you so much for joining us. Again, make sure to check out that free training. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like this video and to share this information with somebody who might need it. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you inside the training, maybe inside of Best College Aid. And if not, we'll see you next time. Have a wonderful night.
Take care, everybody.